In the southern deserts of Afghanistan, where jagged mountains rise like broken teeth from an ocean of dust, there is a story that refuses to die. It is a story told in whispers between soldiers, in late-night radio interviews, across shadowed corners of the internet. They call it the Kandahar Giant. According to the legend, sometime in the early years of the war in Afghanistan, a US military patrol vanished near a remote cave system outside Kandahar. A special operations team was allegedly dispatched to investigate what they encountered. The story claims was something impossible, a towering humanoid creature between 12 and 15 feet tall, with long red hair, 6 fingers on each hand, 6 toes on each foot, and in some versions, double rows of teeth. The being, armed with a massive spear, supposedly attacked the team and killed one soldier before it was brought down by sustained gunfire. The body, we are told, was airlifted out of the region and transported to a secret location. The incident was classified, covered up, erased. It sounds like something straight out of an anime epic. An elite squad silhouetted against a blood-red sunset, wind tearing across the desert as a colossal shadow rises from a cave mouth carved into ancient stone. But tonight, we step beyond the drama. Tonight, we ask a harder question. What is the real story behind the Kandahar Giant? To understand how this legend took root, we need to begin with the land itself. Kandahar province lies in southern Afghanistan, a region defined by extremes, scorching days, bitterly cold nights, mountains riddled with caves, dry riverbeds cutting through valleys where empires have marched for thousands of years. This is the same terrain once crossed by the armies of Alexander the Great during his campaign into Central Asia. It later became a battleground during the Anglo-Afghan Wars, and again during the Soviet invasion in the 1980s. By the early 2000s, it was a central theater in the conflict between US coalition forces and the Taliban. Caves in this region were not myths, they were strategic realities. Insurgent fighters often used cave networks for shelter, storage, and ambush points. Clearing them was one of the most dangerous tasks soldiers faced. Picture it in anime form, a squad approaching a yawning cave entrance at dusk. Their boots grind into sand. The wind carries the low whistle of distant mountains. Inside the cave, darkness feels almost alive. In real life, such missions were tense and deadly. Visibility was limited. Terrain was unpredictable. Every shadow could conceal a threat. It is within this context that the Kandahar Giant story is said to have occurred. The legend began circulating publicly around 2008 to 2010, primarily through interviews conducted by radio personality L.A. Marzulli. Anonymous individuals claimed to have inside knowledge of a classified incident involving a giant humanoid encountered by US forces. But from the very beginning, the story had one major problem: documentation. Modern military operations generate records, especially when fatalities occur. Casualty reports, notifications to families, logistical logs, after-action reports. These systems exist even during classified missions. Yet no verified documents have ever surfaced to support the existence of a missing patrol matching the details of the story. No confirmed name of the soldier allegedly killed by the Giant has been presented with credible evidence. No official acknowledgement has emerged from the US Department of Defense. Believers argue that the mission was deeply classified, that special operations units can operate beyond public knowledge, and it is true that certain details of special operations missions remain secret. But secrets of that magnitude are difficult to contain indefinitely. Large operations involve multiple layers of personnel: pilots, medics, intelligence officers, transport crews. Over time, information leaks, whistleblowers come forward, documents surface. In the case of the Kandahar Giant, nothing verifiable has appeared. Still, the story persists. To understand why, we have to look beyond Afghanistan and deeper into human history. Giants are not new. Across cultures, myths of towering humanoid beings appear again and again. In Norse mythology, the Jitna were ancient giants who clashed with the gods. In Greek myth, the Titans ruled before being overthrown by the Olympians. In biblical tradition, Goliath stood as a giant warrior defeated by a shepherd boy's sling. Even the Book of Genesis references the Nephilim, often interpreted as giants who existed in the ancient world. These myths are powerful. They speak of primordial beings who once walked the earth, remnants of a forgotten age. In anime storytelling, that idea is irresistible. A hidden relic of ancient bloodlines, emerging into a modern battlefield. Assault rifles firing against a creature from prehistory. But biology does not bend to legend. A 15-foot humanoid presents enormous physiological challenges. As a body increases in height, its mass increases disproportionately due to the square cube law. Bones must become exponentially thicker to support weight, muscles must grow stronger at an even greater rate, a heart must pump blood against gravity across a vastly taller frame. The tallest verified human in recorded history, Robert Wadlow, reached 8 feet 11 inches. He required leg braces to stand and suffered severe health complications. His size placed immense strain on his cardiovascular system. Doubling that height would more than double the strain. A stable, healthy, 15-foot human is biologically improbable. Supporters of the legend sometimes point to rare cases of gigantism caused by excessive growth hormone production, often due to pituitary tumors. In remote regions with limited medical care, untreated gigantism can produce individuals of extraordinary height, but even extreme cases remain far below the dimensions described in the Kandahar story. Then there is the question of species survival. If such beings existed, they would require a breeding population to maintain genetic diversity. A single giant cannot sustain a species. Multiple individuals would need habitat, food sources, and space. Afghanistan's mountains are vast, but they are not untouched. Satellite imaging, drone reconnaissance, and decades of military activity have mapped much of the region. While remote areas remain difficult to access, the existence of an undiscovered population of 15-foot humanoids would likely leave physical traces, footprints, bones, waste, or encounters beyond a single incident. No such evidence has been confirmed. So where did the modern story originate? The earliest widespread accounts trace back to interviews on fringe radio programs and conspiracy-focused platforms. The narrative blended seamlessly with other theories: ancient aliens, suppressed archaeology, hidden bloodlines. The early 2000s were marked by uncertainty and secrecy. The wars in Iraq and Afghanistan involved classified operations and intelligence blackouts. The public knew that covert missions occurred. They knew that not everything was reported. That atmosphere created fertile ground for extraordinary claims. The Kandahar Giant story offered something dramatic and cinematic, a hidden truth concealed by powerful institutions. And once it entered the internet ecosystem, it evolved. Details shifted between retellings. Some versions describe glowing eyes, others emphasize double rows of teeth. The height varies. The spear changes size. The timeline shifts slightly. These variations are characteristic of folklore. As stories spread, they adapt. Consider historical battlefield legends. During World War I, soldiers spoke of angels appearing above the trenches at Mons. In the Vietnam War, there were tales of rock apes, mysterious creatures said to inhabit jungle mountains. War zones produce myths. High stress, fear, isolation, and danger heighten the imagination. The unknown feels closer. Imagine a soldier entering a cave after hours of tension. Shadows move unpredictably. Adrenaline spikes. A sudden shape lunges forward. Memory under stress is not perfect. It can exaggerate. It can distort. This does not mean soldiers fabricate experiences intentionally. It means human perception is fallible, especially under extreme conditions. The Kandahar Giant may represent a fusion of misinterpretation and storytelling amplified over time. There is also the psychological dimension. In times of conflict, societies often externalize fear into monstrous forms. The enemy becomes larger than life. The threat becomes mythic. A giant emerging from a cave becomes a symbol of the hidden dangers of war. But symbolism is not evidence. Skeptical researchers have searched for independent confirmation. They have attempted to identify any soldier whose death matches the details described in the legend. No confirmed match has been found. The US military has denied knowledge of such an encounter. Proponents argue that denial is expected in a cover-up, and it is true that governments have concealed information in the past. However, large-scale cover-ups are notoriously difficult to maintain. They require coordination across multiple agencies and individuals, all of whom must remain silent indefinitely. In the digital age where documents leak and insiders publish memoirs, the complete absence of verifiable evidence is significant. There have also been claims online about giant skeletons discovered in the Middle East and removed by authorities. Many of these images have been proven to be manipulated photographs, often originating from digital art contests or hoaxes. Archaeology in Afghanistan has uncovered remarkable artifacts: Buddhist statues, ancient cities, relics from the Silk Road, but no confirmed remains of 15-foot humanoid. The idea of giants persists because it resonates with ancient memory. Across cultures, giants symbolize a world before our own, a time when forces were larger, more primal, less understood. The Kandahar Giant legend revives that archetype in modern uniform. Instead of knights and swords, we have special forces and rifles. Instead of stone fortresses, we have desert caves. The myth updates itself, and that may be why it thrives online. It bridges ancient lore and modern warfare. In anime storytelling, the final confrontation would unfold in dramatic slow motion. The giant roars. Bullets streak like comets, the spear crashes into stone. Helicopter rotors thunder overhead as sand spirals into the sky. But outside animation and narrative framing, we must return to facts. There is no physical specimen, no confirmed eyewitness willing to go on record with verifiable credentials, no leaked government document authenticated by independent investigators. The story remains entirely anecdotal, and yet dismissing it outright without understanding its appeal would miss something important. Afghanistan's mountains are vast and unforgiving. They hold ruins of forgotten civilizations. They conceal caves that have sheltered warriors and rebels for centuries, but they have not yielded giants. The Kandahar Giant stands as a modern myth, born from a real war zone. It reflects our fascination with lost histories and hidden truths. It taps into ancient stories of the Nephilim and the Titans, reframed against the backdrop of helicopters and desert camouflage. In the end, the most compelling aspect of the legend may not be the giant itself but the way it spread. A whispered story becomes a radio interview. The interview becomes a viral post. The post becomes an animated reenactment. The reenactment becomes accepted by some as history. Myths no longer need centuries to evolve. They can form in a decade. Legends like the Kandahar Giant reveal how humans process uncertainty. In a world saturated with information, mystery still captivates us. The idea that something ancient might hide beyond the edge of what we know sparks imagination. So what is the true story of the Kandahar Giant? The true story is that there is no verified evidence it ever existed. There is no confirmed military report, no authenticated photograph, no biological sample, no archaeological discovery supporting its reality. What we have instead is a powerful legend, one shaped by war, mystery, and the timeless human hunger for giants. And perhaps that is enough. Because even if the creature never walked the deserts of Afghanistan, the story has taken on a life of its own. In the windswept mountains outside Kandahar, caves still stand in silence, sand still drifts across ancient stone, the echoes of real battles linger in the air. But the giant belongs to another realm, not the realm of documented history, the realm of myth. And in that realm where ancient archetypes meet modern imagination, the Kandahar Giant still rises, towering between truth and legend, forever casting a shadow across the desert of the unknown.